I wonder if you remember what were your New Year's resolutions 2024 and did you keep your promises? I think mine must have been related to healthy diet and regular exercising. I can't really say that I didn't do anything, but the results indicate, especially now during the festive December, that the promises need to be repeated in 2025. There is hope. In the beginning of Advent, we are invited to reflect on God's promises and the hope that we have in the second coming of Christ. In the Gospel of Luke, Jesus describes the end times. There will be signs in the sun, the moon, and the stars, and on the earth distress among nations, confused by the roaring of the sea and the waves. People will faint from fear. Now when these things begin to take place, stand up and raise your heads, because your redemption is drawing near. And Jesus also says, be on guard so that your hearts are not weighed down with dissipation and drunkenness and the worries of this life, and that day does not catch you unexpectedly like a trap. There are two things that I would like to highlight about these texts. Did you notice that worries of this life was added to the same list with drunkenness and excessive consumerism? Indeed, worries of this life, similarly to many other things, could blur our vision. It's not to say that we shouldn't worry about things in our lives. Of course we do, and it may happen that people drink, eat and party as well. Yet we shouldn't forget that main thing in our lives is that we are God's people and we are called to love both ourselves and our neighbors. And the second thing related to the end days, Luke describes the distress among nations, roaring of the sea and the waves. People will faint from fear. It seems that all generations have experienced times like that. My grandparents lived in the time of the Second World War, and when the Soviet-Russian occupation started, they tried to flee to the West, but were not successful. They had to survive and stay hopeful while hiding in the forests for 7 years, and later being deported to the concentration camps for another 4 years. These days we see what's happening in Ukraine and in the Middle East and many other places, how thousands of innocent lives are lost in wars. We are stressed about climate change as we see so many natural disasters happening. We don't know when the end times will come, but there is something that God promises in times of distress and fear. Jesus says, now when these things begin to take place, stand up and raise your heads, because your redemption is drawing near. In difficult times we experience God coming near us, giving us strength to stand up and raise our heads. We are not closing our eyes to the worries of this life. We are not ignoring what's happening around us, but we know that our salvation is coming and God is with us. God is drawing near.